Fitz was wearing his Namaste in Tonight shirt. Seriously, we had maybe 4 different shirts and a couple pairs of pants, nothing spectacular, and I commented on the irony of his clothing choice considering tonight was the night we were escaping. On screen, one of the students swiped something from the teacher's desk, only for the teacher to immediately notice it was missing. It was a playful gesture, but it made me nervous. Isn't Martha going to notice that we never returned from our different errands, or whatever? I'm not worried about Martha, he said. Why not? Fitz started laughing. Willie, that's a good one. I think you should tell Toby. I'm kind of busy. Sorry, Addie, he said. No worries. Can you tell me? I could tell you, but then I'd feel bad. It's kind of lousy. Okay, I said. Maybe later, Willie, he said, motioning for Willie to take a hike. Sorry, but getting back to what you were asking. Martha will have to work on an incident report with Potts because of Leah's running. It won't be anything serious, but you know they have to report all that. Martha's forgetful, and even if she does notice, we'll be long gone. Speaking of long gone, I said, where do you plan on staying tonight when we get out? We have to think of these things or we'll really be up a creek. We'll take a bus to a motel near where the ferries launch to the island. We'll be fine, he said, slouching in his chair. Won't we, guys? He leaned to his left and nodded his head and kept saying things like, yep, sounds good, and wouldn't have it any other way, until I hit him in the arm. You've got to understand that we won't be alone, he said, smiling at me. I was glad Fitz was able to make light of his situation. I think I'd be terrified knowing I would never be alone, that those voices would always be there. I guess we all have an interior monologue, but for it to be so insistent and loud and populated would be impossible to ignore. Maybe his life was a series of interruptions, and he lived in the space between. He lived in the spurts and spats between the longer moments of conversing with the imaginary group that followed him everywhere. Maybe Doc was confident he could rid Fitz entirely of those intrusions, but I doubted it. If this was the best Fitz had ever been, I figured he would never really get past those other voices in the background. It made me sad. I rested my hand on his briefly. My heart is like a freaking hummingbird, I said. Then I'll go first, he said. Fitz asked Jenkins if he could walk him to his room. I didn't hear the excuse he gave, but I started thinking of how I was going to have to trick Martha. I didn't know what to do. Why hadn't we planned better what we were going to do? At least we thought of breaking our pills in half the day before. That would buy us at least one day on the outside before the tremors hit. Fitz returned 10 minutes later, just as the students on the screen were breaking into song in the gym after passing the basketball around. They all looked so happy. It was actually quite wonderful. But it was so easy to see through those masks. Everyone wears a mask, but actors get to change theirs constantly. I kind of envied the way they played different parts and got to live different lives. They could empathize with so many types of people, of personhood. If actors were the opposite of people, what did that make me? A series of masks, maybe. I'm so nervous, I said, alternating my blinks at a rapid rate. I didn't do anything but go to the bathroom, he said. What? It was a dumb idea to try the change of clothes thing, he said. It's too obvious. Why didn't we think of that? Of course, they'll notice we walked into our room with nothing and came out with a bundle under our shirts or something. So stupid. But I did grab our pills. I can pocket those. Good. The pills are the most important thing. It's not like we need the extra clothes, right? I mean, we'll need to stop someplace for shoes either way. Fitz smiled and flashed that handsome gap. Luckily, you won't get too many looks in Seattle for walking around barefoot. But I agree we should get something for our feet. I wanted to keep talking to Fitz, but I was too nervous. I tapped my hand on each leg 17 times and then repeated the process. I asked Martha if I could use the restroom so I could wash my hands, and she obliged. When I got back, the movie was reaching the closing scene, where the students were dancing on some massive stage in a giant auditorium or something. It looked ridiculous. Sure is true to life, isn't it? said Fitz, loud enough that Junior could hear.